Go ahead.
Okay. In accordance with new NJSA 10:4-6 et sec, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by the Board Secretary to the Daily Record and published on December 13, 2018, by stating the time, place, and date of all regularly scheduled meetings, and by filing a copy with the municipal clerk. A copy of this shall be included with the minutes of this meeting. Laura, please call the roll.
Mr. Berkowitz?
Here.
Mr. Jaskowitz?
Here.
Willens?
Mr. Willens?
Here.
Chairman Ira Kane?
Present.
We also have Mr. King,
Present.
Mr. Chadwick,
Present.
and Mr. Canjiano.
Present.
Okay, let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Shaw.
At this point in this evening's meeting, is there any member of the public that has anything to be brought to this board that is not on this evening's agenda? For the record, Mr. Shaw is here. Right, we have resolutions to approve?
Nope.
Nope,
we
no
do not. No
resolutions.
minutes, no resolutions. We can
The
get right
minutes are
into
what?
it.
No minutes.
No minutes, okay. So we can go right into the cases.
Correct.
So, okay, application 1910, Jin Young Her, 38 Tarn Drive, C variance to install and replace air conditioning. Please come forward.
Sir, could you raise your right hand? You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God? Okay. Could you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth, so help you God?
You have to
And-
speak into the microphone, okay?
Yeah. And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
Jin Young Ho, Jinyoung.
And you're the owner of the subject property?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You're sworn. You may sit and just speak into the microphone, please.
Okay, Mr. Hurt, you're looking for a side yard variance. There is an existing air conditioner there.
Yes.
Was it there when the house was built, do you know?
Not building. I just moved in last August 2018, last year. But the air conditioner was located at over 10 years there. But I didn't know it's violated.
Okay.
So, yeah, but just replace the unit.
Yeah, no, I know, the reason I asked if it was there when the house was built is because we've had some situations where when houses were originally built, the town didn't pay attention to the air conditioner, and then when it has to be replaced and someone comes for a permit, all of a sudden they find out. But yours, you think yours has been there about 10 years? How old is your house?
It's built in 1950.
1950?
Yeah,
Okay.
the record.
Yeah, they didn't have many central air conditioners in 1950. All right, and obviously this is the place where it should go, right? I mean, all the hookups and everything. Did you talk to your next door neighbor about it at all?
Yeah, right. The side of the unit, I talked with his friend. He's no problem.
Good, okay, fine. Any other questions by the board?
Nope. Nope.
Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given? I hear none and see none. There's nothing else you'd like to add, right? That's okay. Any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application, in support of the application? I hear none and see none. Someone like to make a recommendation for this de minimis?
It's replacing a current system. It's de minimis request, and I will be supporting it.
Okay, someone frame a resolution? so
In
we can move-
application 19:10, Jin Young Har, 38 Tarn Drive, Block 168, Lot 154, Zone R3. I recommend we grant a C variance, install and replace an air conditioning unit contrary to section 430-35, column 8.
Second, Jaskowitz.
Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Mr. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Jaskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Willens?
Yes.
Chairman Ira Kane?
Yes. Result is the variance is granted. We'll memorialize this at our next meeting, which will be
2 weeks.
in 2 weeks, and then you'll be free to proceed at that point to get your permits. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Okay, next case is application 1909, Sridhar Vasudevan. Did I get that right?
Yeah, Sir, could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I have.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
Peter, what's the name?
And you're the owner of the subject property?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. You're sworn. If you could just have a seat and please speak loudly into the microphone.
Sure.
Okay, so you're looking to put up a 6-foot-high vinyl fence around your property.
Yes.
Um, You have a corner lot.
That's right, yes.
Why are you asking for 6 feet?
That's because I just have only the side yard left for me because there's no backyard.
Mhm.
And I have 2 kids and a pet. So, because my property is placed such a way that it's quite cross,
Mhm.
and there's not much of backyard left for me. And also it's a busy street. It's not that busy though, but it's a busy main road, and I have 2 small kids. And a
And
pet.
how far off the property line are you proposing to put this?
So I've already submitted the plan. So the plan is of near right across the stop sign. So leave at least 5 to 6 feet and install
5 to 6 feet from the street?
Yes, from the street.
How about 5 feet with the top foot, a basket, open, partially open? We don't give 6-foot
Okay.
solid fences because when you're so close to the road like that, it's very unattractive,
I understood.
all right? It's very, very unattractive. We have found that 5-foot-high fences will accomplish pretty much the same with the lattice or a decorative, like little individual posts, so that there's some opening on the top. So it's more decorative, it doesn't look so bad. I mean, you'll go around town and you will see
No, I
fences that have gone up, and because they go up illegally, they don't come from permits.
Yeah, so
And-
even
and-
I agree to that. So the first thing is the safety is important, yes. And I would take your suggestion to install the,
Okay, 5 foot with a foot, the top foot.
yes.
So you're gonna 4 foot solid, and you have a total of 5 feet. I have it in my house, and it's very attractive. I don't have it in the front, I have it in the back, but it's very,
Any sight problems on that corner?
Well, that's
Because
what,
of the
that,
stop sign?
that's why I wanted to know how many feet
Where's the stop sign?
So,
on the corner of Longview.
Did we get any,
Longview and Lake Shore? The stop
yes,
sign?
Longview on Lake Shore, that's right. Just a request here, sir. So, one request is it a 5 foot with the variance? Is that what you're saying?
Total 5 feet.
Total 5 feet.
Total
With
5
a
feet.
1 foot at the top, some kind of decorative, either weave or
Okay.
whatever it is.
so 4 foot solid with 1 foot see-through by either
I
lattice?
suggest you discuss what the finish of this fence is. Some of these white fences that are quite glossy, based on, he's right on the corner, you're gonna get headlights on this thing. Had you thought about what color you're gonna use? Are you gonna use
It's a white,
solid white?
solid white,
Shiny?
yes.
Solid
Kind of,
white,
yes, solid white shiny. It's a plastic one. And can I ask
Have you
one?
thought about anything else besides that? They make one it's just not as shiny, which means it's not gonna be as prevalent at the roadside. That's what the whole issue is.
It's not that glossy, so it's just like a matte
It's not,
finish.
it's a matte finish?
Yes, it's a matte finish.
The,
So,
the restriction on the height is along the street, is that correct? You wanna put a fence around the entire property or just on the road?
it's on the entire property.
That's what, okay, so, the restrictions apply to the street frontage, is that correct?
25 feet back.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So they could have the higher fence on the back part of the property, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Picture it.
And just one request is, can I have the 6 foot fence on the side of the Lake Shore Drive? Because that's the side of the property.
You
And in
can,
the
but
front-
25, it has to be 25 feet back from your property line, then it can be 6 feet.
Okay, if not, it should be 5
Which would
feet.
be roughly where, don't you have a house next to you?
Yes,
Yeah, so
You're talking about
they're,
10 feet.
They're probably sit back about 25 feet, so
okay.
you'd start the 6 foot at the front of their front wall and go back.
You'll have a lot of privacy, trust me,
Okay, sir.
with the 5 foot, really. It- well,
So 6 foot off the property line, and a 5 foot fence, 4 foot solid, and 1 foot lattice. Correct?
Yeah, and
Well,
I don't see them, well,
He said 6 foot from the stop
From
sign,
the
not
front
from the
yard.
property line.
The front yard's 4 foot with 1 foot
Yeah,
lattice.
looks like the property
Back
line
yard's
is-
6 feet, right?
Backyard is 6 feet, so.
Property line is in from the curb. Stop sign's probably where the curb is.
That's cool.
I was just looking at the picture, I don't see a stop sign.
You know, it's not, there's no stop sign on the plat that's submitted.
That was my question. I didn't see the stop sign, so.
How about from the curb? You can,
Is this the stop sign over here?
I don't know if that's the one, it's because it's not on the.
This is gonna be the stop street.
Well, yeah, Longview would have the stop sign.
Longview has a stop sign, right? Not Lakeshore
This is
Drive.
Lake Shore.
Yes, the Longview has the stop
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
So the stop sign's here.
This is Lake Shore.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
No, west
Is that
side.
his property right there?
Should be, yeah, that should be the corner.
And this is Longview, and this is the other street coming in. What's this other street?
What should be off the curb?
Do you have trees in your front yard?
No,
No trees? Then you're not on property, so.
I can't read that. Dundee. Is Dundee by your house? No.
Dundee,
344 Lakeshore Drive, where's that?
What's it off the
no.
curb?
No, you gotta do Lake Hiawatha.
It would be this one.
Oh, it's Lake Hiawatha?
Yeah, it's Lake
Oh.
What's it off the curb?
Huh?
What's it off the
Oh,
curb?
my God.
It's
I wonder I
part
can't
of
follow.
Longview's in Lake
Longview's in
Hiawatha.
Lake Hiawatha. I know, I lived in Lake
Well,
Hiawatha
he's
for
showing
49
his
years.
property line right at the property. His property line is probably 10 feet from the curb.
So they won't put it 10 feet at the curb?
Well, his property line is probably
Well,
10
he's-
feet from the curb.
He's talking about putting the fence right on the property, it's supposed to be 6 inches.
6 feet, 6,
So make it 14 feet from the curb.
14 feet from the curb.
And he gets the relief only in the front yard area. He doesn't have to get into all the.
So, based on the application, what variance are we giving here?
Giving him
14 feet
fence
from-
height for the 5 feet versus 4 feet in the front yard,
Okay.
and it's to be placed 14 feet from the curb.
You have to sit down, and when you open it up to the public,
It
then
should
you can
take care
come
of the
up. I
site
explained
triangle.
this to you already.
That's probably his house. Does that make sense?
yes.
So,
So in the front it is 5 feet in total, and on the side yard I can put up 6 feet. Is that
Side
is that
yard, you
correct?
could put 6 feet, yes, as
No,
long as it's
no.
not on the frontage.
He's got 2 front yards.
He's got 2 front yards, so.
Yeah,
Oh, you have 2 front yards, so you.
Well, he's not showing a fence over there.
Yes, he is.
He's only showing fence.
Showing on Longview and on Lake Shore.
Yeah.
Longview and Lakeshore, yes.
Yeah, both
I
of
thought that
those are
was an
front yards.
I thought that was an existing fence there.
Okay.
No,
So-
it has to.
No, there's no fence there.
Well, yeah, in the front yard, you're coming down the road, coming along, Longview, and then coming back to the corner of your house, right?
That's right. So
That's all the front yard area.
I was just thinking that my house is facing front of Longview.
Forget about where it faces.
Two
Okay.
front yards.
From zoning, anything that's along a street is called a front yard. Doesn't make any difference which way the house faces.
All right.
it's
so-
your side yard, but it's front yard for zoning. Because it's on the street.
So the piece that comes off the front corner of your house will be that 5 foot, 1 foot lattice. You come out to the street, go along the street, that'll all be that 5 foot high. You'll come back along your neighbor's property, your property line, that'll be 4 foot high for 25 feet. Then you could have the rest of it 6 feet,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, any other questions by the board? Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given? Please come forward. Use the microphone over here, please.
Sir, could you state your name for the record?
Yes.
Could you state your name for the record?
Yeah.
Okay, can you state it and spell
Tell us
your
your
name
name.
for the record?
Spelling Gandhi Krishnalal.
Okay, and how do you spell that?
GANDHI Gandhi, Krishnalal, 130 Longview Avenue.
130.
Longview Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
What's your question?
My question is, if you allow one person to corner block, then safety rule come. All this is a Lakeshore Drive and Longview Avenue, big street.
What's your
The
what's-
corner is
testifying.
blocked. Then
What's-
all
what-
the four
what is-
corner will block and create the problem.
I don't understand the question. What is the question?
This-
Do you have a question of this witness?
Yeah,
Question, what's the question?
Western is big height is create a problem.
Okay.
That's not a question.
Sir, what this is for you to ask a question. You'll have a chance to come back and testify either for or against the project.
I am regarding the safety.
Okay,
If
do
the
you-
block, no, they send a notice regarding this, right?
Okay, do you have a question? You can ask questions now. Now is for questions. After, you're gonna be able to come back up and give testimony. You could say things that you don't think it's safe later, but right now, you just have, you can ask questions of the
We also-
Yeah,
applicant.
he's good neighbor, I don't
We made a
question.
compromise.
Question regarding the town, how they are safety piloting. If we give the permission, one person, then all four corner will create the problem, you know?
We also, he's not building 6 feet. It's gonna be 4 feet with
No,
one.
I am
so,
not
like,
against of him.
No.
He's my good neighbor.
Yeah.
Question is that only, if you allow one person, then all four corner people will come. And there is a Lakeshore Drive and Longview Avenue.
If your
It's blocking,
question,
you
if
know,
your question
safety-
is, our zone,
I am talking about the safety point.
Okay, do you have a question about safety?
Yeah, I don't have that question. Safety.
Okay, what's your question about safety?
Safety, one corner will be blind, then how do vehicle go inside, outside, and the vision is not clear.
Well, he's
That's-
gonna be 13 feet off the street.
14 feet.
14 feet off the street. So a car is only 10 feet long, right? 10 feet?
No, but vision question is the left, right,
20
you know.
feet.
It
The
should be
fence
blocked.
won't be on the property line. It will be back off the line.
14 feet off the
Yeah.
curb.
So it's gonna be close to the house. It's not gonna be on the street. So you'll be able to see left and right when you're at the intersection.
So I am all regarding the safety. I don't have a problem, whatever you give the permit, you know. I am regarding because town say only 4 feet. I have this record.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I don't have that question.
Okay,
Thank
thank
I
you.
only safety regarding.
Thank you. Are any other members of the public who have a question of this witness on the testimony given this evening? I hear none and see none. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just a question, I'm not sure if it's right or appropriate to bring this topic here. So, across the same street, across the Lakeshore Drive, there's another house where they've installed a 6-foot high.
Do you want me to report him to the zoning officer so that they'll go there and tell him to take the fence down?
Okay.
That's what I can do. That's all I can
Not
do.
required, yeah.
That's all I can do,
I'm
okay?
just asking, so.
Because it was obviously put up without a permit, or there were extenuating circumstances, but I don't remember us approving a 6-foot vinyl fence in the last 20 years. So obviously, the person put the fence up without a permit.
Understood, okay.
And we had a situation where somebody did that, and they came back, and we brought them in, and we made them take down part of the fence. So,
Yeah.
okay?
But because my property, right, on the Lakeshore Drive, it's just, if you say 14 feet apart, I have to put a fence and there's nothing left there.
That's not what your survey shows. Your survey shows your property line is 10 feet from the curb. If you're thinking that you have
10
all
feet.
that 10 feet is yours, it's not.
Okay,
In order to avoid the site triangle issue, which is people seeing out of the side street down Lakeshore, you sit another 4 feet back. So where you've drawn it, it's gonna be a little bit further from the road than what you showed on your plan.
all right.
Like about 3 feet. I mean, it's not changing the size of your backyard meaningfully.
Okay,
Another way that you can accomplish privacy is by putting up some vegetation. Get yourself some nice Norway spruce, they grow a foot a year. Within a few years, if you plant them so far apart, within a few years, they'll all meld together, and you'll have better than a fence privacy. Because those will grow. I have one in my backyard, it's probably 25 feet tall. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
something else that you consider.
all right.
Anything else?
No, that's it for now.
Any
Do you have
members
any
of-
questions? Sorry. She's my,
You have to be sworn in if you want to testify.
Well, the point for her to testify is over, is it?
No,
I have one question.
just a moment, sir, please. Please come forward.
You raise your right hand, ma'am. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name
Rekha, Rekha.
and your last name?
Oh no, Ponnur.
You can sit down.
And are you the owner of the subject property? Thank you.
So I mean, I just want to give 2-3 points before we decide on anything. Where our property originally it was facing on Lakeshore Drive. It was an old house, and they knocked down and they put it on the side of the Longview Avenue, due to which we have a very big side yard which is on front of both Lakeshore Drive and the Longview Avenue. And I have kids and a pet, and the thing is, for them to play, literally we have no backyard. When we saw the lot when we bought the house, it was a big side yard which attracted us, because you know kids of this age, they run a lot and they play a lot. So my concern is like, because of course we are here for the privacy and everything. Can we have on the side yard and on the backyard, can we have like a 5 foot with 1 feet letters? Just for kids to play more and have that thing.
You're going to have plenty of privacy with the 5 foot, with the 1 foot being open. And like I just said, plant yourself some nice trees, put some nice evergreens in there. In a couple of years, you'll have privacy.
My dog can
You're
jump.
misunderstanding. You just asked the board to approve a 6-foot high fence in the side and rear yard.
Yeah.
That's allowed. What you're here for is the fence in the front yard.
Yes.
So you misspoke.
So
You have 2 front yards, though.
Yes.
2
Yes.
front yards.
So the front yard which faces on the Longview Avenue, I'm fine with that. The front yard that faces on the Lakeshore Drive, I'm just asking there, can I have more, because my dog can jump higher.
Well, your dog can jump the fence on the Longview Avenue too.
If your dog can jump a 5-foot fence, you better buy a leash.
Yeah, but the thing, I'm trying my best to
Because I
secure.
walk in that neighborhood, I don't want to see your dog coming after me, please.
Yeah, I'm trying to ask the least that I could get, because I was dreaming of a house with a good backyard, with a big space.
You're
But
gonna
at the end, most of them.
Why is the
Can
height
I
of the
inter-
fence
Can I interrupt
changing
you
that?
1 second? I know you've never been here before, and you don't know what the rules are in terms of the board. They have to find a hardship, a particular hardship. The fact that you have a big dog doesn't meet it. So they could simply deny this application altogether, and you could have a 4-foot high fence, and that would be it. I don't think you want to go there. I think you were
Sorry.
better off
Yeah.
before you got up.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to convey my message at this point. Thank you.
You had a question, sir?
Yeah, because the road level, the road level above the property, they say about 1 feet height, more than that. This is the road level. And if you want, again, if you build the fence, then what happens?
What was your question?
The question is, the property is above the road level. The corner, if you go see the locally corner has a height.
Fence is going to be up on a little bank.
Is that a question or?
Is about a foot higher than the road.
Huh?
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I don't know what his question is.
Well, I think he's saying that the property grades up from the
Okay.
road, so maybe
How's that
it's a
gonna
foot.
affect
It's the board has, well, I think the applicant, the husband, the first witness, agreed to amend the application to the fence would be a 5-foot fence, 4 foot solid, and 1 foot lattice. The second witness then came back and does not agree to the amendment of the application, or are you agreeing to the amendment to the application?
I am
Okay.
agreeing.
So
I'm
the
just-
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
So the application now is for a 5-foot fence, 4 foot solid, 1 foot lattice. It would be put 14 foot from the curb
Inside.
inside the curb. So there would be 14 feet of unobstructed view on that, from that corner on both streets. Does that answer your question?
I don't know what's your rules, but town rules. Town say 4 feet.
Okay, so does that answer your
And
question?
already the property is above the level of the road. You know, and then you say 5 feet, then you already go to 6 feet.
Okay. Well,
If you check the property, how it is work out. Because the corner may be blind. If you give the permission one person, then other 3 is there. They are also going to do that. Same thing.
We're dealing with this application tonight.
Huh?
We're dealing with this application tonight.
Take them
not
one
each
at a
one.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, are you guys through testifying then?
Yeah.
Okay. Any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application? In support of this application? I hear none and see none. Someone like to make a recommendation on this one?
Yeah, I'll be voting for it, being that the homeowner has adjusted to our requests, so I'll be a yes.
Someone like to frame a resolution? Anybody? Nobody?
I'll give it a go, to make sure I get it right, but propose that we approve variance as amended for a 4-foot fence on
5-foot fence.
5-foot fence, 4-foot solid, 1-foot latticing on all street front property, and a 6-foot on the side yards.
Front yard to be 14.
And front yard to be 14 feet setback.
From the
Okay?
curb.
Okay? Okay?
Second, Jaskowitz?
There's a second. Any discussion? Nora, please call the roll.
Mr. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Jaskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Willand?
Yes.
Chairman Irakane?
Yes. Result is the variance is granted. We'll memorialize this at our next meeting in 2 weeks, and then you'll be free to proceed with your permits. Okay? Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just make sure you get the
Think,
drawings right.
think about the evergreens, okay? If you go Lakeshore Drive towards the water treatment plant, on the left-hand side, there's gonna be a house that only had a 4-foot high fence, and they planted arborvitae, and this was a number of years ago. The arborvitae are about 10 feet tall. You can't even see the fence anymore. But people have tremendous amount of privacy, and it looks much better. Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay.
Can I go?
Next. You can go. All righty, application 1867, Thomas Wall, 211 Kingston Road, Block 245, Lot 20, Zone B4, D variance for a landscaping company.
Call tomorrow, okay? Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Robert J. Cascon on behalf of Mr. Wall of Wall Landscaping. Mr. Chairman, given the number of members present tonight, I request that we be permitted to present tonight, maybe receive some feedback, but reserve on requesting a vote.
Yeah. We only have 5?
Yeah.
What happened to,
Ready.
Reddy's missing? All right, go ahead. Yes, most definitely.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call an expert witness, Mr. Mcdonough.
Raise your right hand. You swear from testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
Sure. Hi, everyone. John McDonough, McDonough.
And your testimony tonight will be
I'm the project planner.
up as planning?
Yes.
And are you licensed?
Current good standing.
Yes. And you've provided testimony before this board before and other boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I
And
have.
have been accepted as a witness?
Perhaps ad nauseum. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed
No
witness
pressure.
is acceptable.
Good.
You do see less of me, though.
You may proceed.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
this is an application at 211 Kingston Road, which I've actually stood in front of this board before several years ago to repurpose to for a fellow named Mr. Liss, Jim Liss, to occupy an existing building that for many years has been was an electrical contractor business. Mr. Liss came in again about 5 years or so ago for an application for a two-family dwelling to convert the building to two-family, which was denied by the board. Now we're looking for an applicant to come in and repurpose what is actually a vacant site and occupy his landscape business, his office component, and also his vehicles. He has 5 landscape vehicles which he's looking to park primarily in the back. With that background, we do need a use variance for the overnight parking of commercial vehicles in the B4 zone district, where the application is located. This is one of those sites where site suitability is key for the use variance, and I've brought the usual batch of exhibits to highlight the site condition and the site context and why it is suitable for the use that's before you. So with that, should I mark this as A1?
Yes.
And I'll store it on my right here. You just pass this down.
Yeah. Yeah, but they don't really do this. Just a little. I mean, they may. John's cutting trees down. No, you have a quorum. You have 5, so you can act on it.
So just to walk you through the pages of A1, the first page shows, it's a simple text parcel map, shows the subject property outlined in yellow, block 245, lot number 20. It's an interior lot that fronts on Kingston Road. It is approximately 8,000 square feet in area, which is exactly what the zone requirement is, 8,000 square feet. That said, it is actually one of the larger lots in the area, as you can see. Flipping over to the next page, we get a sense of the build-out condition of the neighborhood, and you're looking at an aerial photograph that shows subject property has a building in the northern portion, and then the rest of the property is essentially paved over. When this particular aerial was taken, this is when the electrical contracting business was actually taking place on the site, and you can see the vehicles parked on the site. Again, a mix of uses here, and we'll see that when we flip over to the next page, which is on page 3. We've color-coded the surrounding land uses. The subject property, again, is outlined here in blue. There's an office use or a non-residential use now, and all the non-residential uses are colored in red. Residential uses are colored in gold, and then there's a school or an elementary school with its ball fields behind that is colored green. There's actually 2 non-residential uses right across the street as well. They show up as gold, but they should show up as red. One of them is the Sunnyline Auto Facility, which I was here in front of the board, again, about 5 or 6 years ago, to allow for something very similar to what the applicant is proposing here. And that was the overnight storage of commercial vehicles. In that particular case, Sunnyline Auto served airports with sort of a car service. Again, if you need a lift to the airport, Sunnyline would take you there. And there were about 5 or 6 vehicles that were approved to be stored on that facility. Next door to that is a hair salon. The key point is that there's a mix of residential and non-residential uses on this particular stretch of Kingston Road. Page 4 shows the surrounding zoning. This is in the B4 zone where office uses are permitted. This is an office use where equipment storage is also permitted as well. It's technically supposed to be an enclosed building. This is going to be open storage of commercial vehicles and related equipment. Essentially, we're looking at 5 vehicles that will be parked on the site, and they're laid out on the site plan that the applicant has submitted. But the relief that the applicant seeks is exactly the same relief that was granted on the other side of the street for Sunnyline Auto, to allow for commercial vehicles to be parked overnight on this particular site. So there's a use variance aspect here for that overnight use. I think the notice actually asked for signage relief as well, but as I understand, that's repanelizing what is already there. And also very similar to the Sunnyline Auto sign that's on the other side of the street as well. So to the extent relief is needed, it is simply a repanelizing of the goalpost sign that's already out there. And then finally, on page 5, this is more of a historic photo, not the current condition of the property, because right now the site lays fallow. But this shows the site taken from a Google image several years ago, where there is actually storage of commercial vehicles on the property when it was in active use, again, by Mr. Liss's father, who owned the electrical contracting business. When the father passed away, that's when Mr. Liss came in front of this board looking to convert that building into a two-family dwelling, which was denied. To my understanding, the site has laid fallow since in the last 5 or 6 years, and now Mr. Wall is coming forward looking for relief. He actually has his vehicles parked fairly close to this site right now in what is, I believe, a residential property with the vehicles in the front. There's a practical difficulty in trying to keep vehicles on that site. This will move the vehicles more towards the back of the site where the building mass can screen and certainly obscure any impacts, and certainly move it on to a site that is more non-residential in character than the subject site or the site where they're presently parked. All said, tying this to the statutory criteria for use relief, on the positive side, this is going to put underutilized land back into functional use, repurposing a property which was already originally intended as a contractor storage yard. Same thing. I believe Mr. Wall is not looking to put any loose materials here, mulch or landscape materials, but simply to keep his vehicles with the trailers in the back parked on the subject site, and again in the overnight hour. Counterbalancing that with the negative criteria, this is a mixed area. You can see that there are some non-residential uses, some residential uses. The condition of the fence on the property now is an open fence, a chain link fence, and the applicant is proposing to replace that with a solid fence. We just heard the case before us. This is going to be a 6-foot fence in the back to provide for a solid privacy wall between the subject site and the school, and also the properties on the side, where the fence starts to come into the front yard. And I don't believe the fence is actually going to extend across the frontage of the property. It will only extend along the side lot lines into the technical front yard, because it'll be in front of the building. That's where the fence will drop to 4 feet. So no relief being requested in that regard. All said, this is an application that advances the planning purpose M for the efficient use of land, promotes the general welfare by repurposing a site that is now laying fallow and not contributing to the economic development-oriented nature of the zone. All said, the statutory test for use relief is met here, and approval is warranted. If the board would like to see the plan, I can certainly walk the board through that as well. It was submitted with the application package. And I'm looking now at what I believe is site plan sheet number 4. And we're looking at the subject property in the upper left-hand corner. Everybody see okay?
Date on that map?
I'm sorry?
Date on that map?
The plan I'm looking at here has an original date of 1/21/19 and a revision date of 2/19/19 per the engineer's letter, which I don't have, by the way. So, again, to walk you through the site plan, in this particular plan, Kingston Road would be to the left. Subject building is in the upper portion of the property. 4 parking spaces, as you can see, will be delineated at the back of the building with the trailer for Mr. Wall's equipment. A 4th vehicle will be tucked into the far corner, and then there are going to be parking spaces for customers, employees, and the like. No relief being requested in connection with the proposed parking supply. So the only relief is to allow these vehicles that are going to be tucked into the back corner behind the existing building. I believe there's a shed on the property now that sort of obscures the circulation, not in the best of condition on the property, and that's going to be replaced to sort of open up the back of the site as part of the application.
With those 4 trucks, they're just pickup trucks with the trailer?
They are pickup trucks with a trailer, that's correct.
The fifth truck, that's a dump truck? What kind of truck is that?
I think it is,
Small Mason dump.
Mason dump?
They're,
it might have to be sworn. We can bring up the
Yeah,
applicant.
yes.
we had a packet with the pictures of vehicles.
We'll bring up the you want applicant up now, or you want to close me out?
Close you out
Close you out.
first.
I have a question for you. On your exhibit number 2, the picture shows, I believe, a total of 6 vehicles in that property. It looks like to me, all right?
Yes,
And 2 of them look like tractor-trailer vehicles almost, okay? Along
Yes.
the back of the building, okay? And he's proposing to have 4 vehicles parked back there, right?
Yes.
And 1 along the side, right?
correct.
Okay.
And in a, I'll say, a much more organized fashion than
I
what
see
you
it,
see on
okay.
this.
But the point being, for our reference point, this picture gives us a reference of 6 vehicles parked in this lot, okay? And he's requesting 5.
Yes,
Is that correct?
more than, the historic use had more vehicles than what the applicant was
Okay, I just
proposing
wanna make that.
in a less organized fashion.
Okay, all right. Okay.
There's pictures in the package, by the way.
Huh?
There's pictures of the vehicles in the package.
No, the other package.
So could I go back to what's next to,
Yes.
it's a school, did you say it's a school?
So if we're looking at the site from the street, from
Yeah.
Kingston Road, to the right is a childcare center.
Okay.
Behind is a school, I can't remember what the school is.
So my
Like for
concern is the childcare.
Like for city?
Sorry?
My concern is the childcare, so the kids would get dropped off within a fenced-in area, right? We assume?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So when we have these vehicles coming in and out, we don't have any kids in the street, or, no one's getting dropped off?
Childcare is not on this site, it's next.
No, it's next door, I understand that, but there could be kids, I'm just.
Walking around,
Right,
yeah.
right.
And it's preschool.
My
Oh, so there should not be.
recognition, my recollection of the childcare center is a side-by-side arrangement. You have the building, and then you have the parking lot next to it. I'm actually told it's not operational, that doesn't foreclose it from reopening.
But if I understand,
Okay.
you're gonna put a 6-foot fence between your property and the childcare center anyway, right?
There is no connectivity between the site and the childcare center.
Thank you.
And to the left is dwelling. Is a
Okay.
dwelling as well, and no connection there
And
either.
you're putting a 6-foot fence there too, though?
Correct.
Instead of
It
chain
only
link.
drops down once we work our way to the front of the building.
Got it. Okay, good.
Any other questions by the board? Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given? I hear none, see none.
I have 3 questions, but I don't know if they really go to John's testimony or his client. Are you sworn now?
No.
Not yet.
It really gets to operational issues, which I think we need to talk to him about. Well, maybe not. The sign, you want to, well, you know what? You do your testimony and then we'll.
Raise your right hand, you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God?
Yeah.
For the record, can you state and spell your name?
Thomas Wall, W-A-L-L.
And you're the owner of this subject business and property?
Yes.
Thank you, you're sworn.
It's gotta go.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Wall, just to touch on the proposed sign, the goalpost sign that's there is there currently, correct?
Yes.
And if I can draw your attention to page 5 of Mr. McDonough's packet, you can see part of that sign on the left-hand picture, correct?
Yep.
And although this picture is a few years old, does that accurately depict the condition of the sign at this point?
Yes.
So your proposal with the sign is to fill in the top lighted box with your landscaping sign, which has been supplied in the plans, and then the portion underneath, which is not lit, that would be, for now, an office space for lease sign, and your intention would then be, if that space is leased out, that that portion be occupied by your tenant, correct?
Yes.
And regarding the pictures of the trucks and the trailers that were supplied, that's the current makeup of your fleet, correct?
Yes.
And regarding operational hours, What time of day do you usually, your employees begin? What time would the trucks be exiting the premise?
Between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. And then we typically return between 3 and 4 p.m.
I have nothing else, Mr. Chairman, if there's any questions for this witness.
Mr. Chadwick, you had some questions for him?
Yeah, let's deal with the sign first. The sign is in the right-of-way right now, so to make improvements within the right-of-way, I think is a difficult situation for you. I would recommend the board deny that application to rehabilitate that sign. That sign is run its useful life. The pole might be sound, but that's about it. I think, and you're gonna pull that chain link fence out and put a 4-foot new fence along the front, or you're just gonna pull the fence out?
Pull the fence out.
Period. All right. I think you need to get a sign that is, maybe, that sign right now is probably 16 feet high, something like that.
Yeah, the top of it is 16 feet high.
It's a good guess, wasn't it? I would think something in the magnitude of 8 feet, given the nature of this street, and basically the same size, and let it go right to the property line, which would be about where the fence is. That's my suggestion to you. The other part, which was the comment, this building you aren't going to occupy as your office? You're intending to lease it? Well, let's go,
Yeah,
let's go with the sign. Are we okay with my suggestion on the sign?
So
It would
remove
be
the
8 foot high.
existing structure.
The face of the sign would be tangent with your front property line. And I think you're allowed 50 feet? Yeah, I don't think it's that big. Whatever, something that would be proportionate. You're not gonna do a, if the board's comfortable with that, we'll get the ordinance and we'll allow for a reasonable size.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need,
There's no
I
problem.
don't need a sign 16 feet.
No,
Yeah, that's- yeah.
it's just not right for that street.
Yeah, that's fine.
You just need people to know that you're
And
there.
it's also
Yeah, yeah,
coming
yeah.
out over the
Mhm.
right of way, is that correct?
Yeah, right now, I mean, I don't know what arguments you can make to keep a non-conforming sign in the right-of-way that's basically fully deteriorated. Next is operational. Do you repair any vehicles on the site?
No.
Okay, so you won't, you'd have the vehicles there but no repair. What about equipment, wheelbarrows, all that stuff, stays in the
Everything-
trailers?
Everything is stored in enclosed trailers.
So there'll
Yeah,
be
there
no-
won't be any exterior storage of any equipment, and I own a garage down the road.
Okay.
So any bobcats or
Going
anything
too
like that
far.
would be stored inside.
Everything's off-site then. The parking space that you want to keep in the front of the building by the flagpole, is the flagpole going to stay?
I would like it to, yeah.
Well, you got a parking space on top of it.
Yeah.
It sits on the parking place.
You're showing a parking space in the front of the building, and I think somebody forgot about the flagpole. What I'd like you to do is maybe knock out some of that pavement in the front and do a little landscaping that goes with your business. Just help dress
There-
up the place a little bit.
There is a pretty large planter that
I-
runs
I know
along
that. I've been there a
that
couple
that we're
times.
gonna be replanting.
Okay,
And the grass area where the sign is now, that's all gonna be re-landscaped as well,
okay,
with flowering perennials and
Great.
trees and,
okay. But you're gonna keep the flagpole?
I would like to. I
Okay.
would like to hang an American flag in front of my
You don't think you
building.
can get a car on both sides of it?
Well, you can't get on both sides because you'd be in the street. He's gotta go parallel.
Oh,
I mean, the way it's done now, it's just blacktop right off the road.
okay.
So it's like everything down in that section.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
thing is, it's
How about
the
this?
same.
We're gonna keep the flagpole. Good. Site plan commercial vehicles. Okay, you've already stipulated you only have 5. Landscape, we already dealt with that. Storage, wheelbarrows and stuff, they're either gonna be in the trailers or not outside. The building itself, are you gonna use it for your office needs?
Yeah.
Because the application doesn't really address tenants.
The way
I'm not trying to make this hard,
Yeah, no,
I'm just
the
trying to
way,
make sure
the way
it
the
works.
building is set up now, it's basically 2 units. 2 separate entrances, 2 separate bathrooms, it's partitioned. So there's 2 separate units inside the actual office building.
Okay, so you're gonna
One
use-
unit I would like to keep for ourselves.
Okay.
And the other one, I would like to potentially have a low-traffic business, whether it's a CPA, a lawyer,
All right, let's-
private investigator.
Let's run through
Somebody-
the,
Where are you gonna park?
well, that's
Where are you
what,
gonna
well,
park for the
I
other?
think quickly we do that. When your employees come to the site, they come in their car or
They
jointly?
all carpool.
Okay, the carpool, even if they didn't, they'll park their car at the space that the truck is currently proposed. So the
Yep.
5 trucks out, 5 cars in, worst case.
Mhm.
Which still left you some parking on the site as shown in the site plan.
Mhm.
And Mr. Wall, in addition to this building, you also own a building a few blocks away where your employees, and you're gonna retain that building, and that could also be used for employee parking,
Yes.
correct?
So let's run through. We're gonna have a solid conforming fence on the sides and the rear. The chain link fence is coming out. The old sign comes down, we'll put a new sign, I'll get a hold of your planner or whatever, and we'll get that straightened out in the resolution. No repair, no storage on site, everything will be in trailers. I have no other questions.
How about the rest of the board? Any questions?
And as your business grows, hopefully, how many more vehicles would you like to eventually park there?
I would have to see in the future, you know, where we are now parked, you know, we're out of room, but also it's not in conforming with local zoning law.
Your neighborhood- your
But
neighbors are
eventually,
ticked off.
we're probably gonna outgrow this building and we'll have to find another building somewhere down the road. In the next 5 to 10 years, I definitely think so.
So the approval for the 5 parking places on this site is what you're seeking now?
Mhm.
That will limit you to the use of 5 parking places? right?
No, it's 5 vehicles.
5 vehicles.
But there's other parking
Yeah,
spaces.
yeah, I mean, I was talking to you. All right, very good. You're okay with that? Yeah.
Any other questions over here on the right? On the left? Nothing?
Mr. Chairman,
Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given? I hear none and see none.
I'd ask for a vote at this time, Mr. Chairman. I would ask for a vote at this time.
Everybody's, we're good? Anybody negative? We're good, okay. Are any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to the application? In support of the application, I hear none and see none. Someone like to make a recommendation why we should approve this? Fergie?
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible, but I would consider this a de minimis fee variance.
Yes.
Really, all I asked for was the overnight parking, which apparently has been done there previously anyway, and all this does is improve the property, improve the neighborhood. The business is really in conformity with the neighborhood as far as that. I see no reason not to grant the requested application, subject to the modifications that have been discussed, Mr. Chadwick.
Thank you. Someone frame a resolution?
You're on a roll, Bernie.
I'm on a roll.
Got it. And application 18:67, Thomas Wall, 211 Kingston Road, block 245, lot 20, zone B4. I recommend we grant a D variance for a landscape company,
Subject to,
subject to everything we discussed earlier.
and the requirements is put forth by Mr. Chadwick, the,
Sign.
yeah, the town, the board's planner, to include signage to be agreed upon by Mr. Chadwick and the applicant's planner.
Is there a second?
Second, Jaskowitz.
Thank you. Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Mr. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Jaskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Reddy? Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Willens?
Yes.
Chairman Hurricane.
Yes. Result is the variance is granted. We'll memorialize this in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay?
Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, members of the board.
And that, as long as your planner gets with our planner and advises as to the sign issue.
No problem.
If it's more than 2 weeks, then it's gonna be held up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ruggiero, are you pinch hitting?
I'm pitch hitting until Mr. O'Neill makes it here.
Okay. All right, let's call case 1866, 1719 Route 10, Limited Partnership. This is a continued case from March 20th. I believe we heard the engineer, is that correct? And we'll go from there.
Yeah, tonight we're gonna start with the engineer who's going to present his amended plans.
Okay.
Describe you how the amendments are made.
He's previously been sworn in.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that, I didn't realize that's what it's like.
Okay.
And Mr. Ruggiero, just for the record, you're gonna proceed with the short board. You're gonna proceed with the short board?
Yeah.
Yeah. Took me about, it's about 2 weeks now. The pain finally got away.
You know, at your age, you're not supposed to be up on the ladder.
Get me. Well, baby. Might be investors.
Yes. Yes, it is. I had lunch with Joe, and he said, I don't know how he used to describe it, but he said that he had a command performance at that moment.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Mr. Reinell, you want to tell the board what you've done as a result of the last hearing and the information that was presented?
Yes, I apologize again for having to delay the board. Again, for the record, my name is Mario Iannelli. I'm the department head for site development department in Dewberry. I've been in front of this board many times, and I believe I was sworn last time, just for the record. At the last meeting, I covered just about most of the site civil issues. Between these meetings, I took the time and took advantage to try to work with your board engineer and some of the comments we received from the planner to address really 3 items when it came to site layout and some intersection configurations. So I do have to mark the exhibit. I have 2 exhibits. I don't know what number we left off at.
None of these plans have been submitted, correct?
These 2 sketches were submitted to the engineer over the last couple of
But they haven't come through the board yet.
When I emailed it to him, I actually emailed it to the board secretary, but no, they have not been submitted to the board. I'll present them tonight.
believe you left off at A3, so this would be A4.
Okay, I'll describe them. So this will be A4 and A5. A4 is a sketch showing the intersection located behind this existing Starbucks. We'll orient the board when I'm testifying it to the overall. A5 is a sketch showing a modification to the drop-off area for the hotel, and also relocating the dumpsters that I believe was discussed at the last meeting. So, starting with A4, and also I'm going to keep A2 up to give you some sense of where you are on the site. At the last meeting, the board engineer had expressed some concern about the configuration of the intersection that was going to go around the Starbucks. If I'm referring to A2, the intersection was approved with the original application, has a drive-through lane and a bypass lane, and I believe there was an amended approval for this Starbucks, and there was an extension of this curb island that kind of projected a little further out, and he was concerned about free traffic flow. So we exchanged a couple of conversations and a couple of sketches, and showing here in A4, what we're proposing is to eliminate a parking space across this intersection. I'm highlighting A4. This intersection here is a blow-up of this intersection behind Starbucks. And this here gives you a little more context. This is a larger scale and then a blow-up. So basically what we did is we provided more traffic control, which satisfied the engineer that the traffic flow would be a little more smooth. We eliminated one parking space that was directly across from the entering traffic that would be coming up this drive aisle. And I also worked with him to look at shortening the concrete island by utilizing a flush Belgian block. We didn't want to rip up, there's a brand new parking lot, it's a brand new curbed island, so what we're trying to do is, we don't want it to look like a patch. So what we're going to do is we're going to saw cut in and put flush Belgian block so it actually looks, it accomplishes the same thing by giving the ability to drive over it, but it doesn't look like a patched piece of asphalt. So that configuration, it shows a detail here. Basically what we're going to do is just remove a portion of the curved island on the upper left-hand corner of A4 I'm referencing, and just put flush Belgian block. That will give it, again, some more free movement, and I believe I addressed his concerns with the additional traffic striping and the additional traffic signage. Again, for perspective, I'm referring to A4, someone driving into the beyond Starbucks will be going this way, and this will be a one-way. By shortening that drive aisle, it's definitely improved that turning radius.
The traffic routes going along the easterly side of the coffee shop,
Easterly side, okay.
are they both same direction, right?
Yes.
One's to the window and one is to get around
Yes.
the drive-in circulation pattern.
That is correct. The inner or western drive aisles to come in and get to the drive-up window. Then you can bypass it and go left, go by it, or go down this new, when we create this new parking bay, to go up in an easterly direction on a 45-degree angle on the plan.
When you said traffic signage, was that hotel this way or stay right? One of
It
the
was,
two?
no, it was more, traffic signage was more about making it more pronounced with stop signs, more one-way signs, because when someone's coming here, we wanted to instruct that the one-way is occurring, from this point down is all one-way. So we wanted to confirm with somebody coming down this way with a one-way sign here, so we added some traffic signs to make sure that, it was very clear that it was a one-way traffic flow on the east side of the Starbucks on those 2 lanes.
Is that the east side or the west side?
That would be the east side. West side will be these drive aisles are on the east side.
Have we done any sort of traffic analysis after the Starbucks has been put up? Like, I honestly probably go there 5 times a week, and during the busiest time period, it's a big cluster of a mess. And I know we can't judge anything of the busiest time periods, but like both of the 2 right lanes are always backed up. And now we're just gonna add a lot more proposed traffic into this area. So like, at least from my perspective, the circulation of traffic just with the Starbucks doesn't work today. So like, have we done any sort of analysis after the Starbucks has been up in terms of the traffic flow?
The on-site traffic that was designed for the existing Starbucks, I remember going through that when we got the original approval and they came back. So I can only speak to the original approval because they did come back for an amended. We did work with the town, the board engineer at the time, I believe his name was Gordon Meth, to come up with as much queuing that we felt was appropriate. Yeah, there is a lot of activity at the Starbucks. The good thing is that, you know, the 2 proposed uses that we're adding do not peak in the morning. So that's the good thing. The restaurant is a lunch dinner activity, and the hotel tends to peak at night. So from a use perspective, they do complement each other. So the traffic that's associated with the existing Starbucks, I have not been out there in the morning, but I do understand it's very busy. It is on the westbound side, so it actually is very conducive. But what may end up helping this is that when this is complete, there's going to be a connection. There's going to be a connection here. Like, people drive through here and come in, right? Then they go circle around and go back and go on.
Well, a lot of people also just go right, hoping they could hop back up, but
Well,
they can't.
they will now.
Okay.
There will be an entrance here that will actually provide that. So one of the things that doesn't happen now, if they make a right, they have to go down here all the way down and back around. That's too circuitous. What's going to happen when we add this driveway, we're actually going to provide an option, especially if they're going in a easterly direction. Most people like to drive the way they're going, and they're going to learn through behavior that that's a quicker way out. So that should start to relieve some of the actual circle back traffic trying to get back to that one driveway. I'm referring to A5. There was a concern, I'm highlighting A2 where the drop-off is for the proposed hotel. There was a concern about protecting the drop-off area here. What we proposed is there is an overhead canopy. We proposed to put a curved island in front of where the drop-off canopy is going to be located. It required us to do some minor shifting of the parking. We didn't lose any parking to accommodate it. So basically along this canopy here, we're actually going to have a curved island that will help protect the drop-off area. You don't want to extend it much further than that. You want to be able to pull in and out. So the curved island exact location and configuration will get worked out, but for the most part, you're going to have a curved island along the whole front of the canopy area. That should provide it from some protection for vehicular traffic, especially in the backup, or somebody's backing up out of these spaces. And the last comment we got during the board hearing was the location of the dumpster. We really tried to find a better location. I'm referring to A5 again on the right. If you look, what we're proposing, referring to A2, this drive aisle that we're going to have the new driveway connection to that common driveway that goes out to the highway. We've reconfigured the parking, again referring to A5, that we're going to have the dumpsters on an angle and create a landscaped island in the corner there, so a truck can come this way down, back in, or pull in, get the dumpsters and pull out. We're proposing the same type of configuration with board-on-board fence and landscaping around it. We did move it from the location shown on A2 to a more secluded location. We wanted to keep it within a certain proximity of the hotel, so I think this is the best place we can put it, and I think it addresses some of the board's concerns about having the dumpster near the highway, more in a prominent, visible location. Those were the three things that really came up, I believe, with the town engineer that he wanted us to address after the last meeting. I think I've had at least 3 conversations with him and exchanged at least 3 or 4 emails to kind of work all of this out.
Any questions by the board? Mr. Chadwick? Any questions?
No questions. There's a few other minor comments, but we can work those out.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yes. We actually went through his report, and all the other, I suppose, all the other comments in the report are something we can work out. There's some details and some drainage calculations where we
Yeah,
have to tweak,
yeah.
but nothing that we can't address if the board chose to approve this application as a condition of approval.
So you'll comply with the recommendations of the board engineer?
Yes.
Did you guys ever think about taking those 2 parallel drive lanes, one serving as a bypass and one serving as a access to the drive-in window, and making them both drive-through, like the McDonald's have done, where they take the 2 lanes now and merge them into one right at the window? Is there any, and just get rid of those angled parking spaces? Would that help with that? I mean, isn't the backup over there? I mean, I've only seen it a couple times. I don't go there 5 times a week.
Yeah.
But
I'm a big fan of Starbucks.
I mean, are they backing into the main driveway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like again, that's only in the peak hours. But yes, it's pretty bad. Like during the off peak, it's completely fine and normal.
Right.
But in the peak
Well,
hours.
what's the peak hour? 6 to 9?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well, if you move it as back both as drive-through, then you're removing the access. Then someone would have to make the left turn to Starbucks and to get to either the office building or the hotel.
Well,
so-
that bypass lane only goes to those few angled spaces.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying that people coming around and want to park, get out of the car, go in?
Yeah, the circle.
Like,
Yeah.
Can't they do that right from the side road? Isn't that 2-way traffic on the west side?
Here?
Yeah,
That is
Yeah.
2-way traffic.
right.
But how would they, you have a serving window now that's here, so you come up, you go, and you place your order about here,
Yeah, I guess there's not enough
and then
room.
you pull in here.
Yeah.
The concrete curved island was actually a request of the township, and so, actually I originally had it striped, so the concrete curve does good thing, it does channelize it, but it also limits its flexibility. I mean, you can't go in and out of that lane.
Any other questions?
No.
Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given? I hear none, see none.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. O'Neill joins us. Let's take a 5-minute break.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joseph O'Neill, Garofalo O'Neill Ruggiero taking over for Mr. Ruggiero. We'd like to call our next witness, Mr. Mcdonough.
Sir, you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
Yes, Mark Montalbano, Montalbano.
And your testimony will be?
The architecture design related to the restaurant component.
Okay. And all your licenses are in full force and effect?
Yes, they are.
And you provided testimony before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
I've testified in numerous boards in the state of New Jersey, not this board, but I'm experienced.
All right, Mr. Chairman, he's been sworn. Call.
Okay. You may proceed.
Mr. Montalbano, you're familiar with the application that's before the board this evening? Yes, I am. I wonder if you can go ahead pointing to your exhibits. Were these previously provided to the board?
Yes, they were. One was not. The first exhibit here, the plans you have in your possession.
with the building elevations. The only difference is this is the colored elevation. I'm not sure.
Could you please use the
So
microphone?
we'll need to take the microphone with you. Sorry.
We're at A6 now.
A6. Will you mark that for me, please?
And then the second drawing that you do not have is the proposed signage for the project in a little bit further detail. So
We'll
make
mark
that
as
A7.
A7 for this evening. So why don't you walk us through what's being proposed, please?
This portion of the project consists of a one-story restaurant with a proposed location in front of the existing office building along Route 10. The total building area is approximately 7,230 square feet with a seating capacity of 240 people. The dining room holds approximately 74 people. The bar room holds approximately 92, and the seasonal bar holds approximately 74 people. The kitchen is around 3,400 square feet, located at the rear, and the outdoor area, enclosed area, has an outdoor enclosed area for the dumpster and the trash, as well as deliveries. And the remaining areas are obviously restroom support, as you can see here in the plan. Bars in the center with dining on the perimeter. Nice weather. This is a seasonal room that has an additional bar in it as well.
Is that separated from the parking lot in any way?
Excuse me?
Separated from the parking lot? by
It's
a
all
fence?
contained within the footprint of the building. It's connected to the building. It's away from the parking.
So the materials of the building, what is that going to be?
Okay, the exterior materials, as identified in the elevations, will include stucco facades with metal awnings over the windows and door openings, operable overhead windows, almost like garage doors. Glass garage doors are proposed at the seasonal bar area. The main entry is set higher with a metal canopy over the entry doors. Accent wall sconces along the canopy. Uplights will complement the architectural features and light the perimeter areas of the surrounding site.
What type of lighting is that going to be?
An LED lighting. It's an accent lighting. It's an architectural
It's architectural
fixture.
elements.
Yep. 3 building-mounted signs are proposed for the project, one on each elevation, one facing Route 10 and one as you're traveling up or down Route 10. All the signs are the same size, and that is 4 by 36 feet, totaling 144 square foot each. The letters are individual and will be LED backlit with an acrylic lens, as shown in the Exhibit A7. I do have 11 by 17s if you'd like to pass these around and hand them out.
So that'll be
Take 7.
That's,
It's going to be A8.
This is a
Same
smaller
as
version of the board.
The signs on 3 sides of the building, do the renderings show that?
The elevations do. They're just identified as a rectangle on the elevations that were submitted. This is just an elaboration of this same front elevation with what this sign is going to say on all those 3 sides.
Can you confirm the color of the lettering for it?
The main name of the restaurant will be a white letter, and the "and drink" or after the main title of the restaurant will be a red letter. The franchise name will be approximately 39 inches high, and then that secondary text I was talking about that says "and drink" will be approximately 14 inches.
So the reference to the seasonal room is actually the windowed area that opens up, is that the idea?
This is the seasonal room here on the right corner, yes.
The only difference is you can open those windows.
Correct.
So there's a slide open.
Mm-hmm.
I know last time you said you could not identify the particular tenant. If it had a long name, is it gonna fit in those boxes that you've signed for?
Yes, the signage we're proposing will accommodate the, any of the tenants that the,
Are you still
my
in a
client's considering.
situation where you can't identify the tenant?
That's currently our position. Mr. Chairman. All right, it's the Miller Ale House.
Okay, so Miller has 6 letters in it.
Mm-hmm.
Ale is 9. House is another 5. And Eateries is 7 letters.
It'll fit in the overall area of the
Okay.
signage. I do have a sample in the manner I described.
All 3 signs are the same.
Maybe when you
Yes.
submit these as part of the amendments you're going to submit, you can plug in the names on all 3 sides. I think you need a variance for the new size of the
We do
building.
need a
Do you need variance for the size of them as well?
If it'll help the board, I do have some images of some other locations, just to give you an idea what it would be. So Miller's would be the larger text, where it says eateries, and then ale house would be and drink. So if you want to take a, just pass this around, it's just.
Did you want to mark that? or
Up,
no?
up to you.
The answer to your question, Mr. Chadwick, is yes, we're looking for dimensional variances for the signage.
The finish and look and treatment is in line with the branding of Miller's. It's not. That's good.
The
That
correct.
rendering
This
is
is
what
this
they
is
expect.
this is the prototype that Miller's utilizes.
I have no further questions for this witness.
Any questions by the board? Mr. Chadwick, you have any?
Just once, the 144 square foot for the sign area, what did you do? Put a rectangle around the word Miller's and then a rectangle around the ale house?
The
Or did you use that box that you have on the renderings?
we used basically the box that's on the renderings
So
to.
it's really not 144 square feet.
It would be slightly less.
Okay. I think it would be helpful if we had, if we know what the tenant is and we know what his sign is, to have the areas that you're requesting the variances for.
We will provide it. It'll be less than what we noticed for, but we'll provide that.
Yeah, and a lot less, I think. Okay.
Any other questions by the board? Any members of the public have any questions of this witness? I hear none, see none.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
That will call Mr. Laux.
Joe, who's in? Joe, is this your?
Right in front of the whole building.
Another architect for the hotel.
Where it's gonna be one time, it's gonna be, exercise, and it's gonna be daycare. They didn't know what it was gonna be. They just got a box out there. I mean, it makes sense along Route 10. I think.
Let's get you sworn in, Mr. Laux.
Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God?
I do.
For the record, can you state and spell your name?
Peter Laux, Laucks.
And your testimony will be architectural?
That is correct.
All your licenses are still in full force and effect?
They are,
You've been
yes.
sworn either before this board or other boards in the
No.
state of New Jersey?
I have in the state of New Jersey, yes.
Mr. Chairman, he's been sworn and qualifies.
Mr. Laux, you're familiar with the application that's before the board this evening?
I am.
And why don't you go ahead and explain to the board the composition of the hotel that is being proposed here on the site?
Very good. We are proposing a 5-story dual brand hotel that incorporates La Quinta branding as well as Hawthorne Suites. It is a 127-room hotel. 11 of those rooms are on the first floor, and the remainder are on identical layouts for floors 2 through 5.
The hotel will be operated by one reception desk, isn't that true, even though it's 2 brands?
That's correct, yes. One lobby.
One lobby, one entrance, one drop-off, one reception desk.
That is correct.
Why don't we, now the board has seen the layout of the plans that you've put up here. You've mounted up the plans that were previously provided to the board showing the room layout, isn't that true?
That is correct.
Why don't I just jump you ahead to the elevations of the building. Let's talk about what this building's going to look like. Take the microphone with you while you're talking.
You need to mark those? You're at A8.
Was A8 that sheet of paper that was handed?
Well, I don't know, you'd never marked that. It was one sheet. You want to mark that?
Let's mark that as A8.
Okay.
And we'll mark this as A9 and A10.
Yeah.
A9, Counselor?
A9 and A10.
That one page. Who has the one page?
Yeah, I got a.
But who has that one page of the?
The eatery one.
No, the ale house.
Oh.
The drawing, right there. If you just, for the record, just give it to the secretary.
Give it to secretary.
And that would be A8.
No, already.
So why don't you describe for us, please, what we're looking at for A9 and A10?
Okay, A9 is the right hand as you're looking at it. This is showing the west side of the hotel, which is the front, the proposed front of the building. This is where your drive up and your entrance into the building is located. So this is all common area across the front here and the entrance in. Directly underneath it on the same exhibit is the north end of the building as it's seen from the main road. A10 is the opposite side, the east side of the building. And then directly underneath it is the south side of the building.
These renderings were prepared under your supervision?
They were, yes.
Why don't you describe for us some of the signage that's going on there and point out what we're looking at?
Very good. So we're dealing with dual brands of the hotel, La Quinta and Hawthorne Suites. So we are proposing on the main side of the building signage that identifies both of them. The La Quinta sign also has a sunburst. That's part of its trademark. So the rectangular area around that is 249 square feet. The Hawthorne portion of the signage, again, has a trademark logo that goes with it, and that boxed-in area around that is 181 square feet. We're also identifying the same signs at the same sizes on the opposite elevation. And then on the north end of the building, we have scaled down versions of both that stack, the La Quinta being 63 square feet and the Hawthorne at 45 square feet.
Now we have 2 signs each on 3 sides of the building, right?
Correct.
And then we have the starburst.
Correct, yes. So,
How big is that starburst?
well, it takes an area at a maximum about 26 feet across and approximately 30 feet in height. Now that is not an applied sign in that it's a sign itself. That is color in the finish of the building.
What kind of finish is that going to be?
That's an IFAS finish.
And what about can you describe for us the reception area and lobby area down there?
A11, I would assume.
A11? Well, that's just mounted what you provided to the board, right?
That's correct, yeah.
You don't have to mark that. Sure.
Okay.
Just identify that by the plan number.
Okay, so this is A1.1. This is showing the first floor plan of the building, and the area towards the bottom of the sheet is the west side of the building, the main side. And this is where our porte cochere and our main entrance into the building is located. You come into a lobby area with the reception area to the left, various amenities that go along with the lobby, a business center, seating. And then you proceed into a back area, a great room at the back of the building that will have food service.
I have no further questions for this witness.
Is there a liquor license in this building also? Is there a bar?
There is a bar, yes.
There's a bar. Is it a common liquor license with the, no, they get their own because they have over 100 rooms, right? Isn't that the deal? Yeah, okay. Thank you. I answered my own question.
What kind of food service is going to be provided?
It's breakfast. It's reheated, pre-made food.
Breakfast brunch.
Breakfast, yeah. So you have toast, muffins, bagels.
Is there going to be a kitchen?
There is a kitchen, a warming kitchen behind it. So that's refrigeration. It's warm-up ovens or microwaves.
So the food's not going to really be prepared?
It's not prepared there, right? It's just rewarmed.
No hood?
No hood, that is correct.
For reference, the 5-story elevation you're showing here compared to the Hilton across the street, do you have any idea?
Mr. McDonough can talk about that.
Okay.
Any other questions by the board? Go ahead, sir.
I just have one quick one. Is there a building that has this color scheme regionally, or is this new to this area?
That I can't answer. The building itself and what it represented as far as the dual branding is new to the area. Now there are La Quintas, there are Hawthorns that have the different schemes identifiable to those buildings, but we're bringing it together into one.
So it's the same parent company?
That's correct.
The exhibit, can't remember the number, on the left side.
I-10.
Which number is that?
That's 10.
That's 10. That's the back.
So this is the east side, basically the
East
back
side.
of the house.
Okay,
And
let's
that's the
let's
south
go to
end.
the one that's the west side. Yes. The color schemes identify the components of the two different brands?
That's correct. The red and the gray is the Hawthorne color. The orange, the yellow is the La Quinta, and then there's a base neutral color with the lighter shades of gray.
And those are their colors nationwide?
Correct.
So if I went and found a Lakita someplace in this area, it would be orange and...
Depending on the age of it, yes.
Would it have that star?
Again,
image?
depending on the age of it, yes.
So this is relatively new branding?
Yes, the La Quinta brand itself, as that's all hotel chains do, they revitalize themselves every few years.
The rendering is a representation of the colors, or it's to be interpreted as being, that's what it's going to look like?
It's as close as I can get with computer programming and print medium. There are variations when you print. Well, the sheen of the paper,
That's a
the
definite
printer
may- that was a
that you print it
definite
off
maybe.
of. Yes, it's in the ballpark.
The reds will be red, the burnt orange will be burnt orange.
Right.
Purple, is that purple?
No, it's a darker shade of gray.
It's like mauve here.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Anything else?
No.
No? Anything else over here? Over here?
I'm gonna have to recuse myself. I do work for Wyndham Destinations, the parent company, sister company to Wyndham Hotel Group.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so.
I guess that ends tonight's meeting.
Well, you got a quorum, you can hear it.
No, not with only 4. You
You
can't
can
hear
hear-
it.
you can't hear it. You can hear it, you can't
You can
vote.
hear it, but you can, since when?
I'll defer to Mr. King.
Well, we're gonna have to get one of our absent members to
Okay, fine.
listen to the
All right.
audio. And then come
I've
back
only been
to-
doing this for 30 years, and I was always told you can't have a use variance when you only have 4 members. But, go ahead.
I have no further questions for this witness.
What would you achieve by going forward after this? I mean, you
Well, I just
really
have
would
Mr.
like to have
McDonough left.
live people. You have what?
I'll offer Mr. Dean for questions for the traffic. If there's any questions as to his report, otherwise it would be Mr. McDonough's testimony.
Which we won't complete.
Which one?
Huh?
I didn't hear you, Mr. Chairman.
Which we doubtful we would complete, Mr. Donovan, tonight.
Well, who knows?
Yeah, that's true.
Was everybody here at the first meeting?
I was. I think everybody was, right?
Nope.
You were not here for the first meeting?
No, I listened.
You listened to it, okay.
Yeah.
Has the traffic expert testified yet?
That's Mr. Dean.
Yeah, but he just presented a report. You said you're gonna.
We've presented the Dolan and Dean report. I have Gary Dean of Dolan and Dean
Okay,
here with
okay.
us.
All right.
If the board has
All right.
any questions.
Any members of the public have any questions of this previous witness, current witness? I hear none seen. Okay.
Thank you. You're welcome. And I'll offer Mr. Dean again for questions if the board has any questions concerning the traffic report provided. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and call Mr. McDonough.
Raise your right hand, you swear affirm testimony you're about to give before the board's true self you got?
Yes, I do.
For the record, can you state and spell your name?
John McDonough, MC, capital DONOUGH.
All your licenses are still in full force and effect, and you've provided testimony and been qualified before this board before, correct?
Correct.
For the record, you are qualified and sworn.
Mr. McDonough, you are fully familiar with the application before the board?
Yes, I am.
You've had an opportunity to examine the local ordinances and master plan also?
Yes, I have.
I wonder if you can go ahead and give us your findings regarding the interaction of this application with those documents.
Sure, I'd like to open up again with a series of exhibits just to paint a picture of site condition and site context, which formed the foundation for my planning conclusions.
We're up to A11, I believe?
Yes.
Mr. McDonough, you got a twofer tonight, didn't you?
Doubleheader. It worked out. So, the exhibit again is a series of photographs and maps just to paint a picture of site condition and context. We're looking on the first page of the exhibit, a tax parcel map showing the subject property outlined in yellow, block 200, lot number 1. It is an oversized parcel. It's 15 acres in a 5-acre zone. It is developed, as you can see, on sheet number 2. We've got the octagon building, the office building, and this is an older photograph that doesn't reflect the pad for the coffee shop. We know that there's also been approval for other uses there as well, including the restaurant, the daycare, fitness center. So this site has already been vetted once for multiple uses, which is the exact same relief that the applicant is seeking now for D1 relief. There's also conditional use relief related to the hotel The hotel is actually a permitted conditional use in the district, but there are some conditions that the applicant are seeking relief from. We're here in a specialized economic development district. This is actually the ROL, Research Office Laboratory Zone. This is really the epicenter or the heart of Parsippany's commercial district and the economic engine for really not just the town, but the area as a whole. Third page shows exactly what I'm talking about. We've color-coded the surrounding land use context. You can see the red all around. Those are non-residential uses, and this is a non-residential use that is going to be enhanced with additional service and commercial type uses along the corridor. So basically continuing the pattern and the vision of what the board has already found to be appropriate here. Fourth page shows the reason why we're here. We're in the ROL zone district, and the applicant is seeking relief, again, to have multiple uses here, changing the use mix somewhat than what was previously approved, but basically going along with the same theme as what was previously approved, maintaining the coffee shop towards the western portion of the property, maintain a centerpiece building in the center of the Octagon building, and then taking a hotel where previously a restaurant use was contemplated. So again, the overall development pattern is consistent with what the applicant was proposing and had approved before. Last page shows the surrounding land use or the condition of the property itself. These photos show a lot of rain on the ground. It was actually taken 2 months ago, so that's kind of what we've been dealing with for the last 2 months here. Basically showing in frame number 1 a view of the front of the office building on site. Frame number 2 is a view of the new Starbucks on site. 3 and 4 show the front parking lot and the general underutilized nature of that parking lot. Frame number 3 looking to the east, and frame number 4 looking to the west. So by virtue of the spacious area of this property and the underutilized condition of the parking lot as it now exists, there is adequate capacity to accommodate the development the applicant is proposing here. The plan, as you've heard, is for a hotel of approximately 14,094 square feet, a restaurant of approximately 7,230 square feet to go along with the uses that are already on the subject property, including the office and the coffee shop. The relief that the applicant seeks is first a D1 use variance for the dual use or the multiple uses, and we'll walk you through the Medici test for that in the 4 parts. There is also D3 conditional use relief related to the hotel. And then finally, there's also a D6 variance related to the height of the hotel. The height of the hotel actually meets the conditional use standards, but exceeds the standards of the base zoning, so it's somewhat of a technical height variance, but the applicant is seeking that relief as well. There's some bulk variances, but they're not substantial here, and we'll walk the board through them as we go through the proofs. Taking you through the D1 and the 4 parts of the Medici test. Part number 1 focuses on the special reasons or the purposes of zoning that are being advanced. First and foremost, we see the advancement of the public welfare, the complementary nature of the uses that are being proposed, including a hospitality use and a food use that will certainly be compatible with the existing office use and coffee shop that is there now. That goes towards purpose A, the promotion of the general welfare. Also goes towards purpose G, to provide for a variety of uses in appropriate locations. This is a transforming area. We know what's happening just 2 lots east of the subject site on Route 10, which has been approved at 1515 for a very large scale redevelopment. Again, the redevelopment plan is in place, but not the site plan per se. But we're looking at the potential for many dwelling units there, retail, potentially a hotel, but I think that's actually out of the picture right now, so I guess we'll see as that transforms. We're also looking at the improvement of aesthetics here, the promotion of a desirable visual environment, taking underutilized land, filling it with very beautiful buildings, filling it with attractive landscaping, and is certainly going to improve the aesthetic of the Route 10 corridor as one passes by. Also looking at the planning purpose M, to provide for the efficient use of land. This is going to be a retrofit within the established pattern of the development. not expanding the development per se, but working within that which is already there. Second part of the test focuses on the site suitability and the characteristics of the site. We go back to the visuals that I just gave you in terms of the condition of the property. Again, a spacious lot, an oversized lot that is cleared and primed for redevelopment. Additionally, from a context standpoint, this is a commercial area, and as I said, it is a transforming area that is pulling more retail into what has traditionally been an office district. Third part of the test focuses on the negative aspects and whether there are any impacts of a potentially adverse nature. I think that's been vetted very well by our engineer and by the witnesses that have gone before me to conclude that functionally the site will function safely and efficiently. Visually, this is going to improve the aesthetic quality, and certainly in terms of neighborhood context, this is going to enhance the overall business character of the area. Finally, with respect to the zone plan and ordinance, this is not a substantial departure from that which has been already approved by the board. This is going to enhance and promote the economic development aspects of the district. That takes care of the D1 use relief. With respect to the conditional use variance, there are 3 standards here that are not met. Number 1, to have a hotel less than 200 rooms. The same section of the ordinance also has a requirement that the minimum floor area be 250,000 square feet. This hotel is going to be less than that as well, and it is going to sit on a property that technically is less than 10 acres, even though there's 15 acres on the site, less than 10 acres specifically allocated for this use, although there is a obvious sharing of parking and circulation and the like. Whenever we look at conditional use relief, we're not focusing on the relief per se, but the legislative purpose behind those conditional use standards. They all are intended to encourage, I believe, name brand type of hotel business. That's certainly what the applicant is proposing here, a national brand as opposed to a smaller non-name brand that, again, will certainly coexist very nicely with the other uses on the property. So I believe the legislative intent of the D3 conditional use relief is met in that regard. With respect to the D6 height relief, we're looking at 65 feet being proposed, whereas 45 feet are the maximum that's allowed in the ROL zone district. Not a D6 variance, but also the number of stories. 3 are the maximum allowed in the ROL. The applicant is proposing 6 here for the hotel. I believe it's a technical variance because the conditional use standard would allow a hotel of 6 stories here and also a hotel.
5. Yeah, it was, testimony was 5.
5 stories, okay. 5 stories for the hotel itself. Got it. By way of comparison, the Hilton Hotel across the street is at 6 stories. The Marriott just further down the street, I know it's in another town, but it's certainly within eyeshot, is 7 stories. And then over at 1515, there's a redevelopment plan in place that would allow for buildings of 6 stories. So this is an area that contemplates mass. This is an area that has realized mass, so this will certainly be an infill development that responds and blends well with that which is around it. Last bundle of relief all pertains to the bulk. There is a front yard setback to position the hotel at 98.1 feet, whereas 100 feet is the minimum required. That's actually a greater setback than was previously approved at 80 feet. So there's now more light and air along the front of the property. And again, we're looking relief that is less than 2 feet. So in the context of this very large 15-acre tract, it's really not going to be a perceivable variance. With respect to the parking, again, you look at the underutilized nature of the site and the fact in the pure analytic, 791 parking spaces are being proposed here, whereas under the strict read of the ordinance, 828 would be required. You have empirical evidence in the form of a traffic report that's been put forth to show that the supply will meet the actual demand for this commingling of uses and the various non-coincident peaks that are associated with them. That's reconcilable under the C2 balancing test, where we look at the advancement of the benefits of the application as a whole, substantially outweighing any detriments. Finally, the relief related to the signs, you just heard through the two architects. Over on the restaurant side, there are 3 signs proposed related to the 3 vantage points, whereas 1 is the maximum allowed. Likewise, on the hotel, with the double brands and the 3 faces, we're looking at 6 signs, whereas 1 would be the maximum allowed. Again, from the multiple vantage points, that's going to promote clear, safe identification of the site, provide some wayfinding, some roadside recognition, and in that regard, we believe the C2 balancing test is met as well. There's some area relief related to the sign that is called out in the engineering plans as well. Each one of those restaurant signs will be 144 square feet, whereas 127.5 would be the maximum allowed per facade. So I believe just a slight uptick over the maximum percentage. In terms of the square footage for the hotel, it's actually less per facade than what could be realized under the zone scheme. 262 square feet versus 341 being the maximum allowed. So in that regard, I believe the overall sign budget is actually being met here, particularly for the hotel. That said, all said, this is a good application from a planning standpoint, somewhat of a rearrangement of the furniture of that which was previously approved on the site. This is going to make it even better. Statutory tests for relief are met for all of the relief that the applicant is seeking, and approval is warranted.
Mr. McDonough, I do have one question for you. It concerns signage on the hotel. It was testified to that the sunburst design that's prominent on the hotel is a design element, but in some situations, Parsippany has considered that branding to be signage.
Yes.
Do you think that that's appropriate for this?
Well, again, it is more of an architectural feature on the building. I know there's been other situations where that has not been considered a variance here in the town, but in that regard, again, to the extent relief is requested, it's a complement. It is part of the trademark and the brand, and certainly promotes a visual cue as to this particular brand.
Thank you. I have no further questions for this one.
Questions of Mr. McDonough?
Just one. The variance for the restaurant was for 144 square feet. You heard the little colloquy I had with the architect in terms of what it actually shows. So the difference is 27 square feet between what's allowed and what's requested.
That's correct.
It doesn't look like you're going to use 144 square feet.
I honestly don't know if the sign package was built. I'm assuming the sign package was.
He handed out a exhibit, a picture, Exhibit 8, that shows what the intended tenant is.
Oh, Miller.
And about half of that box is the Miller, and the other half is the much smaller letters that are clearly.
Is this marked?
That's not a, that
That's-
is.
No, that's not it. This
But
is
that's
all-
proportionate. The Miller's covers eateries, and the rest of it is the ale house. It just doesn't appear that you need to get a variance for that. Somebody's gotta know what the, it just,
I'm still seeing the ask for the 144. I don't know what the actual.
well, the testimony was the full box was the area of 144 square feet. But that isn't what it's going to be.
The actual text, the actual copy will be less. That is correct. Do I know what that area is? I don't.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, if we don't need to grant a variance, there's no point in granting a variance.
Since we can't take a vote this evening, since we're gonna be preparing
Well-
renderings showing Miller's Ale House as
You
a
gotta,
sign.
you gotta submit some things on the plan. You were gonna put the letters into the boxes so you can see them,
Yeah.
which I think is gonna verify. I don't think you need variances for that. You need the variances for the number of signs, but you don't need variances for the size of the signs.
We will confirm the size of the signage on the restaurant prior to the vote.
The architectural rendering for the hotel, again, the signage, you can't appreciate it by a dash line box, and you're gonna put the letters of the two brands in their appropriate location.
Yes.
That Starburst, I think, is a sign. I have never seen it. I mean, I basically went online and looked around at all the different hotels that I could find online. I never saw that. Is this something brand new?
If I could just have a minute to consult with my client to answer that question.
I mean, where I'm going is, I just try to raise questions for the board to consider. The normal building along this Route 10 section has a clear architectural character. It's brick or stone or whatever the heck it is, but it's somewhat uniform. This isn't. This has a much different picture, and part of the use variance is how it fits.
I may have just one moment, Mr. Chairman, to consult with.
I'm
the
not
client.
trying to
I'm not-
stop
I'm
it. I
wanna get
just
an answer to the question.
think that everybody has to consider it.
The other question that is your traffic witness gonna testify or not?
Well, since I'm being asked, then I will present Mr. Dean for traffic testimony.
Well, the only thing I'm looking at is in the engineer's report, there's a few items, and I don't know if all these items have been dealt with or not, so.
We'll bring up Mr. Dean.
Thank you.
Also, you have a major soil movement?
Yes, we do.
We don't,
I haven't
and there's
had-
gonna be testimony on that?
Yes. I believe there was.
Was it?
I'll bring up Mr. Iannelli to go over that.
Well, if it was, then
I thought
fine,
you
I just don't wanna do a redo.
Yeah, just give me 1 minute.
Yes, go right ahead, sir. I guess they're two different applicants.
Well, I think there's one company that owns them, but then they operate.
There's one like on the higher end?
Yes.
So you can go here, you get the low rooms or the better rooms?
The Lukitas
Okay.
and which used to be, it wasn't, but it's gone up the ladder. And the other one is,
The other ones, I think, is it's more from suites, it's probably just suites.
yeah.
Opposed to just.
I tell you, I went around online, I never found anything like this.
No, I
The La Quinta I saw down in Panhandle.
I thought the Clintons are all yellows or gold.
Yeah.
Well, they started out in the Southwest, and they had that Spanish.
I've never seen a Clinton.
I think this is that new type of building with that material like that Zinberger with that, like that outside, like, you know what they're doing with all those strip malls?
Yeah.
Where they're refacing it,
Right.
with that like textured material.
Yeah, yeah, that's,
You let us say something.
Video window?
Whatever, it's just ugly. That's not
I still can't hear what he's
ugly,
saying.
he says. He's basically saying he thinks it's ugly. So we're not designers. We just go on.
You should have been here when the Empire Diner came for remodel. Massive remodeling. Do you remember, John? it looked like it was gonna be a casino on a strip mall, on a strip in Las Vegas, I swear to God. It was so freaking ugly. We tried to get them to tone it down a little bit. They did a few things here, and then we finally threw up our hands and said, okay, you go with it. But never fucking built it.
But they kept the
gonna
koi
say,
pond.
it's
Never?
ugly.
They
It's
never-
finally, the Pathmark, the Target one is looking nice. They finally doing it over.
Yeah,
Look how
God,
it finishes.
that's the longest remodeling
Horrible.
job
They did a
in
terrible job.
forever.
No, it's, no, it's
Since
nice.
Christ walked the
It's
earth.
beautiful, but
Right,
they did a terrible job.
10 and 202.
10
That
and
mall where the,
Yeah.
Doing the same thing there.
yeah.
Yeah, with the Chick-fil-A is no
Chick-fil-A, did they go in
It's
where
the same owner, I think.
where the Loop place used to be,
No,
or the?
The
No.
new place is still there.
Brand new
place is
building.
still there?
They put it right next to
It's
it.
a whole new building.
Yeah, right in that parking lot in that corner.
Next to the
No, not
Verizon.
that place.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one coming.
But they really do that nice. They
Yeah,
really
and-
skin it nice.
I think it's the
There's a
same owner.
brunch restaurant.
Yes.
over there, too.
Yes.
Going in there?
On the other end of the mall, there's a brunch restaurant.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
yeah,
saw that,
yeah,
yes. And then you've got, the other one too, you got the,
Cadobo is in there.
Is Ria Cadoba?
no.
No, not Cadobo, the other
Chipotle.
Mexican.
Chipotle Grill, yeah.
That's the one that all the food was bad.
Yeah, but then the stock went down, the stock went back up.
Way
It
up.
did.
You're way up.
Way up.
It
Way
was a
up.
good, that was a good buy. It's got the hair cutter place there. It's
The
got
market do they go up a little
It
bit?
was up about 140.
Yeah.
They got about half of it back.
Yeah. We'll get more of it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's got half,
Huh? No.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Well,
They do that.
Trump's too good.
I basically just.
He knows what he's doing.
Well, listen, they negative.
I don't buy it, so.
It's like negative
I've been in the
6
stock market for
and they're
never get out. So I get
Socialism and
about
communism doesn't work.
1%.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
We do have, Mr. McDonough has been able to glean some more information for us concerning the signage.
So just 2 points to make. With respect to the graphic, that's part of the registered trademark of these brands and part of any new build. In particular, sites nearby Clifton, there's another one in Albany, New York, where this branding, as these new stores come online and as there are facade upgrades, the graphic goes on the building. So it's part of the new rollout for these particular brands. Secondly,
Can I interrupt one second? Do they exist yet, or that's going to be?
Are they built?
It exists.
I'm betting head nods, they exist. They are actually up.
In Clifton, there's one.
Yes. The other point.
Is it also the same color scheme that's been presented? Are they the
Yes.
dual
Yes.
facilities? Okay.
No, Clifton is a single quintal, isn't it? Correct.
And the second part of that is just to give the board some comfort that the graphics, I'm going to tell the board what they already know, is that graphics are part of the landscape in the area. I think of Zinberger. I think of Wendy's has the emblem, I forget what that's called, with the girl on it, with Wendy on it. On the other side of the street, we know we have the Stop and Shop. I know it's another town, but again, as we work our way down 10, graphics are common on storefronts.
We're not looking at an iPad, okay?
Thank you.
That's all I have.
No further questions for this witness.
Give a shit about it.
No further questions.
Well, you do want to give some testimony then on that starburst that's part of the signage. It's their branding.
And I guess
Symbol or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, to the extent, I understand we're coming back to the extent that we were asking for additional relief to incorporate the graphic as part of the box.
Okay.
The same proofs carry forth for the reasons that I just gave.
Well, it's obviously an unusual graphic. I mean, it's not a solid type of
My understanding of the Parsippany ordinance is we have to strike a box around the whole thing, the extreme
You're
top
right.
and extreme bottom. But it is, again, we're looking at channel letters, a lot of negative space there, so it's not going to stand out as obtrusive in the context of the overall building.
Am I looking at that west side correctly, the gray portion, I forgot which franchise that is that roof slanted?
That graphic is showing that, yes. The elevation on the west side shows a slanted roof.
Okay. Why? Okay.
Variety?
Really?
Breaks it up a little bit. Any other questions by the board? Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given? I hear none, see none. Now I'm just going to defer to our engineer with regard to the traffic. Are you satisfied with
Yeah,
the answers that you've received with regard to
Our
traffic?
original traffic comments were for asking if a DOT, a letter of non-jurisdiction or a DOT access permit was needed. I see in their correspondence they had submitted for that. I don't think they got a response yet. I don't know if I want to have Mr. Dean come up.
Why don't we just bring Mr. Dean up to address it very quickly?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Raise your right hand. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is the true self you got?
Yes, I
For
do.
the record, can you state and spell your name?
Certainly. Gary Dean, D-E-A-N.
Your testimony will be with regard to traffic?
That is correct.
All your licenses are in full force and effect?
Yes, they are.
And you provided testimony before this board and other boards in the state of New Jersey?
I have.
Thank you. You're sworn.
Thank
And
you.
qualified.
Very succinctly, Mr. Chairman and board members, we have been working with Mr. Iannelli's office in addressing some of your access and circulation concerns. We have prepared a traffic impact study in response to Mr. Cangiano's concern. We are awaiting, and I am told by our great state government, literally any day now, we are getting our letter of exemption. Of course, it is an outside agency approval, and we would need that to satisfy resolution compliance. But the important element is that DOT has verbally approved that the access to the site will remain unchanged and still will provide safe and efficient access. There were some other very, I'll say, minor technical issues in your board engineer's report that we addressed in our February 28th correspondence, and I believe Mr. Iannelli has addressed the circulation and internal concerns addressed by the board.
So you'll comply with all the recommendations of the board engineer?
Yes, that's correct.
And I wasn't here at the last meeting, but was any exhibits or testimony given on the circulation of for truck maneuvering and the various circulation patterns?
Yes.
I don't know. I wasn't here either.
We'll bring back Mr. Iannelli.
Yes, we went through the circulation. We have fully conforming 24-foot aisles. We confirmed with the dumpsters in the original location, the trucks are able to access it. Even when we relocated the dumpsters in the new location, we also confirmed it will be a part of the new compliance set that we actually use an SU-30.
Yeah.
Can actually get
Okay.
to the dumpster location. The fire department has reviewed the entire site, and the only comment they had was they want me to add a fire hydrant and move a fire hydrant that may affect one parking space. That may, I testified last time, we may lose one additional space. Other than that, the fire department was very satisfied with the circulation.
This question is for Mr. Dean. As far as the circulation with the earlier testimony from the engineer regarding circulation across the northerly parking aisle for traffic from Starbucks going east to exit out of the easterly driveway, any concerns with movements or conflicts with vehicles backing out of parking stalls on a long length like that? Could you testify to that?
I will testify that, as indicated, I've reviewed the on-site circulation, and in fact, during the break, Mr. Iannelli and I consulted on further improving the Starbucks stacking. Some of it's an operational concern. Some of it, in my opinion, I believe, is people just candidly not knowing which lane to choose. So that we will work with your engineer. I know there's been a modification, and I'm pointing to on A4 to remove a little portion of the aisle to improve the turning into the parking field for motorists that are not using the drive-through. I think a revisit of the signage to make that not have to stop and keep the north-south traffic stopping will allow that to flow better, maybe even pull that island back. And I suggested there are certain fast food quick service operators that use overhead signs. They call it gantry signs, where we would affix a sign that clearly says drive-through and a sign that clearly says bypass. Will augment the pavement marking so that people see it in a couple of different perspectives so that they understand which lane is for the drive-through. To answer the concern...
Before you go too far on that, do you feel that just changes in the pavement markings would be sufficient rather than changing the signage at the Starbucks, which is of course in operation right now?
It only, yes, pavement markings are the first step. The signs are, I'm loath to use this term, but to speak candidly, to make it a little bit more idiot-proof and so that people, again, see the sign, see the laning, and get where they should be. And we're trying to be responsive to your concerns. I think, to your question, the concern is the travel through the parking lot. I think what might help, and I would recommend some wayfinding signs. We can decide on the location that indicates to motorists leaving Starbucks that the directional path to Route 10 is through the new driveway to avoid them getting back out on Johnson Drive and further congesting the entrance. So if we can have them come in on Johnson and leave through the common driveway to the east, I think that will flow better. I am not particularly concerned about travel through a parking lot per se, in that in any parking lot we have traverse through aisles, whether it's a shopping center or an office park. So I'm not particularly concerned about that, whether it's Starbucks or any other of the hotel guests. So, but I think the wayfinding signs will have that traffic head east, which I would recommend with your board, with the engineer's consent.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
Any other questions by the board?
And just on some of the traffic study, Mr. Dean, the trip generation, we haven't spent much time on that, but in your report.
Yes.
So peak hours, we're looking, the way you broke it up, I understand, is entering, you break it down between the hotel and the restaurant. You differentiate those two?
Correct.
Okay. And so between those, you have a total of 71 peak hour visits. Is that what this, am I reading that right?
Yes. And I will say, for example, I don't know if there's been a discussion as to who the intended tenant is. When we prepared our traffic study, we assumed it was called what's known as a high turnover sit-down restaurant. In other words, it's not Ruth Chris's. To the extent it is more of an upscale restaurant that doesn't have breakfast, then the numbers in this report won't be 71. We did assume that it could be another diner or a Denny's or something of that ilk that would generate morning traffic. To the extent the operator doesn't, then we have zero traffic from the restaurant. But to answer your question, yes, 71.
Well, I guess just a reference, and maybe you can't answer this, but we had somebody testify the amount of traffic currently at the Starbucks site during peak hours. We don't have any reference here, and that's not part of your application. I
Well,
understand that, but-
it tangentially is, and I'll refer you to the November 13th traffic study prepared by me and submitted to the board, where appended to that report are several traffic figures. And those figures, those little stick diagrams, show the amount of traffic coming in and out of the site as a whole. We didn't study just the Starbucks. So unfortunately, I can't tell you of, and again, when we counted the driveway on Route 10 and we counted all of the driveways on Johnson Drive, we counted the cars that came in. Some of that traffic goes to the building to our east because it's shared. So we do have a breakdown. If you look, and I'll refer to figure 2, and it shows the driveway closest to the Starbucks, so it's in the northwest corner. There are, at that driveway, there were 100 entering vehicles and 32 exiting vehicles. And I think logically, because it's an office building today, you say, all right, who's leaving? It's probably Starbucks customers. So we're looking at probably about 125 to 130 cars per hour coming to the Starbucks. That's an estimate, I think.
They'll be using a same shared driveway coming this way. Okay.
And what the Starbucks traffic is doing is, as they exit the Starbucks, they're circulating counterclockwise and coming back out to Johnson Drive. If we can peel off some of that drive-through traffic, because the driveway to the east will be underutilized at that point, those customers will find it easier to exit.
So if we have 71 vehicles per hour of peak time, that's
Yes.
for the hotel and the restaurant.
Correct.
We have 600 parking places.
Yes.
I'm kind of a little lost for 600 parking places if we only have 70 vehicles coming in. Even if we have 6 hours for rush hour, that's only 400. That's 400.
Because we have the balance of the office building, and I don't recall what the zoning requirement is for that, but that is probably 500 parking spaces or 400 parking spaces for that use. That doesn't go away. That still will be a
Okay,
tenanted
all right.
building.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay. I always thought we were separated.
No, that's
Thank you for.
Any
Certainly.
other questions from the board? Any members of the public have any questions of this witness? Hear none, see none.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to answer Mr. King's question. While I was under the impression that we did this before, I'd ask Mr. Iannelli to come back up and discuss the amendment to the major soil moving permit. I think Mr. Iannelli is known for his brevity.
Is there a town engineer report or any engineering report with regard to this?
Yes, there is.
And you would comply with that?
We will comply with the town engineer's report.
It's from Mr. Liza.
Mm-hmm.
Inspection required performance guarantee. Pre-construction meeting will be held. Several items of information.
March 19th.
March 19th.
You just want to go over it quickly, or?
If you just go over the conditions, I just don't have it in front of me, I
Okay.
apologize.
Do you want to hold this off until we reconvene, Joe?
We can close it.
Just give me 1 second.
Well, you'll have to provide the testimony on yards of soil to be removed and review the ordinance, the requirements for where it's being sent and trucked to. So they should be prepared to give some testimony on it.
And hours.
And hours, you know.
We'll be ready. I
We'll
just don't have
reaffirm
anything.
that when we come back.
How about the sewage does not go to Parsippany? Do we have approval from the,
I've been in touch with Leon Hall over from Morris Plains. We got the approval for the Starbucks, and I sent the plans over to him. He likes to get really started when the board actually grants an approval, because he wants to make sure it's a real project. So he knows it's moving along, so we have to go work with him and assess some of the conveyances. We don't anticipate a problem, but I'm gonna go through a TWA application. He'll have to confirm the conveyance has adequate capacity, and that will then go to the treatment plant. So it's going to go through the process, but I'm not aware of any issues.
okay?
We have no service area issues or any of those?
No, right now the site goes to Morris Plains, and
Yeah,
we're gonna
that doesn't
continue.
mean anything.
Yes, right, we don't anticipate any, this is actually within their service area. It goes down Johnson Road.
And again, that would be a condition, their approval will be a condition of this.
Absolutely, we have to do both BWSC and TWA.
We don't provide the water either.
No, I believe Parsippany does provide the water.
They do? Says it'll be served by Southeast Morris
Oh,
County
you're right.
Utility Authority and metered by Parsippany.
Yes, you are right. Well, I don't anticipate any problems
Okay.
with the water either.
Gotta be able to flush the toilets. I don't see anything else in here. Mr. O'Neill, is there anything else?
No, that's it, except for confirming again the amendment to the major soil movement permit. That'd be the only thing outstanding.
Okay.
What we would ask is that this matter be carried to your next meeting, so we can provide that brief testimony and then take a vote.
Do you think you could get the plans updated to all the exhibits?
We can get
At
the
least a few
dimensions.
days.
We can get the dimensions.
Because to write a resolution on all these amendments is not gonna be helped.
We can get it, we can get the dimensions for the signage. We can confirm those.
Well,
numbers.
you've got some changes to the parking lot and the dumpster, those are exhibits. We don't have those plans. Correct?
Yeah, that's
You
correct.
move the dumpster around, you shorten
That's
it.
absolutely correct.
Okay. The clarification of the signs on the restaurant, a couple minutes. Placing the names of the two franchises on the building elevations. It's a CAD machine. I mean, it's just so they have it.
When will the next hearing be?
I mean, I'm just ticking off the top of my head the things that we were going to adjust or change. And it would seem to me if we had a set of plans with dates on them, make a hell of a lot better than trying to have everything in one place. Yeah.
I just want to know when the next hearing would be and when I would have to have them submit it.
Well, from my end, if I had them a couple of days ahead of time, at least the reports would be there by the meeting. I don't know.
What's the next meeting?
What about your office? I mean,
Yes, no, I think it's a great idea.
I mean, you've
because
seen them
these-
all.
Yeah, we've
anyway.
seen them, but they're just sketches and whatnot. They haven't been dimensioned yet. So I agree with this. They should have a little time now, and I don't think it's that heavy of a lift.
Nora, when can you get them back on? Take into consideration, we need to get media out to the missing members.
A copy of the CD.
Right. June 19th, I have 5 residentials on. Put them on that, otherwise they're
June
waiting.
19th we have
Otherwise
who?
they're going, I have 5 residential, otherwise they're waiting until,
5 residentials on June 19th.
right.
Oh, yeah, that should be.
Okay?
All right. June 19th.
All right, I have a motion to carry this case to June 19th without further notice and with whatever extensions are required.
So moved, Berkowitz.
Is there a second?
Jaskowitz.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved, Berkowitz.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Pat on the dot.
Pat
on the dot.
Look at that, huh? Next one, both hands.
I know. You gotta start working tomorrow.
What is that?